I'm not any sort of religious person whatsoever. I call myself, I definitely call myself an atheist before I call myself anything else. I have no affiliation towards any sort of religion or anything like that. That being said, if I had to choose something, uh, Buddhism seems okay. It's more along the lines of just like be happy and be peaceful or whatever. But there's a view, a good view. There's the actual view. I shouldn't say good because it's all relative, right? There's the actual view, and then the boogeyman view of Satanism, right? So I always just end up joking about it and saying whatever Satanist or whatever. So there is a Church of Satan. I don't know how I don't know how you'd be affiliated with it, to be honest with you. They sell stuff on their website, which I think is interesting. But they have certain philosophies that deal with certain ways of thinking. It's not necessarily like what you'd see on TV or what even Christianity would like to sell you about Satanism, about devil worshiping, and like it always ends up being like something sexual because Christians don't like that, and then something where you're sacrificing animals so that way the people that aren't offended by the sex are offended by the harming of creatures. It's this two-pronged approach to try to make Satanism look bad. You could argue that it kind of does on its own just by its name, but the philosophy of it, the core philosophy of it, like I was reading on, there's an article here that I was reading about it. The big thing is you are your own person, and the world isn't revolving around you, but you absorb the world around you. You take it in and you learn from it. That's what you should be doing, which I can't disagree with that. I started looking at different tenets of Satanism, and it's like, there's got to be something I don't like. The core pillars of the philosophy, I'd not want to call it a religion because to me that has a really negative connotation to begin with. So Satanism as a individual's philosophy and how to, what's the word I'm looking for? How your perspective on the world and on life is. I should probably put these down because they are distracting. And Wajid said, "Is that a cane?" I was like, "No, that's just my tripods." Can you still see me? You can still see it. There's a lot of different ideas that go along with Satanism or what have you, but I think the one article I was reading, the big thing was this person speaking about it. He challenged Satanists, or it might be Antoine Levine now that I think of it. It didn't. But he challenged Satanists to be worldly and to go out and live vital lives, which would be fueled by indulging in what brought joy to the Satanist in this case. Which, aside from the labels, which I'm not big on labels to begin with, I don't like tribalism, I don't like being part of a group of this or that. That's just, the more I see it going on in the world, the more I see it as a divisive mechanism. I'm not really into it anymore. But be worldly, which I think is really important, to see that it's not just what's the four walls around you, or the block you're on, the neighborhood, the city, the state, the country. Those are all artificial, and we've just made them so that way you can sell things better to people, is what it really boils down to. Or at least that's more and more of my viewpoint lately. What can it do? What are ways that we can sell you more things because somehow you need more things in your life you don't? As I make a YouTube video with my camera and my laptop and my quarter. What you're being sold is just another way of What you're being sold is a way to sell you things, is what it boils down to, really. But to be worldly and to get out and live vital lives. It's an ambiguous term, yeah, but however you perceive this and however you deal with this and however you want to make yourself vital in this world, I mean, that's what everybody's trying to do, right? I don't see anything bad with that. I think that's the way you should be. Live a vital life, try to bring joy to yourself, because the only person you can really control in your life is yourself. If you can make it so you're an example of something, of other people go, I like how this guy thinks, or this guy enjoys his life, or something like that. You can be an example and show other people instead of just talking about it, which I think, in my opinion, again, I'm an atheist, so I have the bias. Blah blah blahing about what's good or what's bad because it says it in some ancient text, it's a waste of time. You practice what you preach, for lack of a better term, right? Encouraging creativity. I don't think that's, maybe other people are inspired by religions, maybe, but I don't ever see people saying you should go out and be creative and create things and do things that could be considered art, or could be considered something that's adds to society, adds to a culture. I don't see that happening. It happens by default, and then the religion tacks on, again, my bias, tacks on this, hey, look what I did. When it's the person that did it, or maybe a group of people that worked on it. I don't know. I see this as more a positive way. It is more of it can be viewed as a selfish methodology because it does talk about the individual. But I've always thought the individual is the strength, and that's where you start. If you actually live a life that's good and interesting and people admire, and you don't hurt other people, you don't hurt yourself, you try to add, you try to be kind, and you try to be the person that you want to be, and actually, what was the saying? I think Rogan said, be the person on the date you're trying to impress your date. Try to be that person all the time. I mean, then Rogan's its own religion now, unfortunately. I don't know. These are all ideas by Antoine LaVey. He was the guy that founded the Church of Satan in the 60s. He's a guy out of Los Angeles. He was just a strange guy to begin with. Strange being a relative term, but I don't... their overall philosophy, at least in this case, is be the best person you can be, and don't focus... If you start focusing on outward things, material things of that nature, it can be fun, I guess. I'm definitely guilty of that. But making yourself that person that you want to be is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. Some people never get to it, but the work towards that is incredibly important. So I want to break this down some more, and I want to do more things, but I think that's good enough for a Sunday thought, at least to start with. Maybe this will be something else, but I don't know. I've been seeing a bunch of things, seeing all these religious clashes, seeing all of these accusations, and a lot of people getting hurt physically, mentally, and it's just it's wearing on me, and I want to see if there's more to it. And that's what this whole thing is too. The YouTube, the Sunday Thought, the whole thing. What can I do that can make things better, or at least better for myself, and then I can figure out maybe that'll help other people. I don't know. You got to start with yourself, though. You have to put that mask on when the mask drop. Hopefully the mask will never drop. That's never happened to me, thankfully. Been on a plane, the mask drops, you put your mask on first, and then you help other people. I think that's the best thing. Put your mask on first.